to another episode of Cup of Joe. I am your host, Joe Van Kampen. Today we have a really special guest, Marc Cheruby, here with site staff. Marc, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Appreciate it. Very excited.
Yeah, awesome. Marc, tell us a little bit about site staff and what you guys do.
Yeah, great question. So what we do is we support the buyer journey, really, by employing additional call to action that we consider to be very proactive and available 24/7. We do that via chat. We have a lot of different chat solutions. So we really ensure that not only are we providing additional call to actions and ways for website visitors to come onto the site and be connected and get all the answers that they need, but we have an array of different ways that we do them that really fit your needs and your community needs as a whole.
Very cool. And you've seen exponential growth over the last couple of years. Can you tell me what makes you different than your competitors in the space? Like, what are your major differentiating factors?
Yeah, I mean, I would say we're different definitely in a lot of different ways. One of the ways is that we're able to give visitors options on how they would like to proceed to communicate with the community, right? So if they have a little bit more of a basic need, something that's not necessarily as urgent, they have the option to go through our AI-based virtual assistant to get their answer that way, to put in their information, get connected with the community. And then if they if they have something that's a little bit more in depth, or maybe it's an emotional time for them, or they have just a lot of different questions going on through their mind that kind of need to be talked off of the ledge, by the click of a button, they can be chatting with a human, an expert immediately. And so that's what the data shows. The data really shows that consumers like to have options. And I think another differentiator for us is that we're very specific in the industry. We're very senior living specific. We're not kind of an all-in-one, for all industries. And because it is such a unique industry, a unique buying journey, there's so much that goes into it. So by being able to speak the same language, use the proper verbiage, I think it's a very effective tool and really one of the best calls to action, best ways for visitors to not only get the answers that they need, but you talk about the online experience. I think in senior living, a lot of the times we talk so much about experience at the community level. What do we do when when a family comes in for a tour? How can we make them feel special? Sometimes the online presence gets neglected. So we really emphasize the overall online experience.
Yeah, you kind of, Marc, you just mentioned a little bit about who's actually going to be chatting and all that kind of stuff. Who do you choose who actually works on your team? What is important to you, and what are you looking for when it comes to those different types of pieces?
Yeah, great question. I mean, first and foremost, we have a very in-depth and elongated training process for that reason, to really make sure that the educational piece for all of our chat hosts is there. They understand the industry, they understand what questions are important, and really how to relay and show empathy through chat, right, over text. It's a lot different than doing it over the phone. With phone, you kind of have tonality, you have different ways of being able to show the empathy. Whereas on, via a chatting or basically texting back and forth, it gets a little bit more difficult. So really understanding how to do that. But we hire and train all of our chat hosts. First of all, they're all US based. They are college educated. And we train them for their natural ability to be an empath or show empathy, right? I don't think empathy is something that can really be taught. So that's something that goes on in the training process when we're vetting to make sure that we do have the best hosts in the world and the best possible representatives for not only the industry but for every individual brand. And then obviously there's all of the technological requirements, the typing more than 70 words per minute, all of that. So we definitely do a lot of vetting, and we're very diligent with who it is that we choose and who we hire. Really just to make sure that there's a consistent messaging and overall performance across the board.
Very cool. So it sounds to me like one of the major differentiating factors for your organization is that staff component, the fact that they have that live chat, that they, as you mentioned, they are college educated, they are really heavily focused around empathy and all those different components. Is that fair to say? Very cool. Very cool. All right, one of your major differentiating factors is being able to capture the leads with intent. Why do you feel that that's such an important strategic advantage for you, and how can that be used in a community?
Yeah, certainly. We always talk about capturing leads with intent, and obviously leads with intent are people that are actually showing an active behavior to want to buy, right? To want to take the next step, and it's just at that point they're at the buying journey. They want to figure out, okay, where are we going to go? We know we want this. We know we have an idea of what we want, or we know this is something that we're eventually going to need. Where do we go? So we feel like it's a really strategic advantage because, it just delivers better results, period. I think a lot of the times communities, the sales team or the C-level executives, they're overly confident in their sales team and their sales process, and that they just believe that, more leads equals more results. And if that's the case, and that's perfectly fine, we have solutions for that. But in reality, what we see is a lot of the communities that are very successful are the ones that really empower their sales team to focus on their job, and that focus is to be able to book people in for personal visits, for tours, and ultimately lead them down the path to eventually become move-ins. What I like to do, really, I guess, to paint a picture for you. Let's say that you have a salesperson X, and that person is reaching out to Sally Mae, right? And she sees that she sees her phone number, her email, and maybe that she's interested in assisted living, and she's maybe looking to move in 1 to 3 months. Beyond that, that salesperson doesn't really know anything, right? They may not even know if Sally Mae is a real person.
Right.
But then on the flip side, you got salesperson Y is reaching out to Freddie Mac. Obviously, you can see I chose those two. But they have all the contact information that we had talked about. They understand they're looking for assisted living. It's for their mother. They're looking to make a change in 1 to 3 months, but they also know that Freddie Mac's mother needs to be reminded to take her medication. She's showing some signs of mobility loss, and it's also imperative that she's in a community that allows for her to have her Pomeranian Maggie to live with her, and she's also a huge Denver Broncos fan, right? So between the two informations that you have from salesperson X and Y, you can obviously see how much more intent and how much more information you're now arming your salespeople to have. And so that's what we talk about with intent is not just delivering the leads, but the ones that ultimately focus on converting.
Very cool, man. One thing I love about chatting with you, Marc, is you always seem to figure out a way to bring up Denver Broncos. So I really appreciate that about you. Very cool, man. All right. So what types of opportunities are you seeing in the senior living space over the next, call it 5 to 10 years? What's next for you guys, and what are you seeing in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's obviously plenty of opportunities. The growth, even in the last couple of years, kind of coming out of COVID, has been exponential, right? Obviously, a lot of things you see people talking about is AI and how do you use AI, and that's something that not only we're constantly making upgrades to, but we want to make sure we do it in the way that's most effective for the industry. We don't want to just employ AI for everything, but use it in methodologies throughout the sales process, the customer experience as a whole, for where it's the most effective. Obviously, the baby boomer generation that's caused for substantial growth. I think it's just going to keep influxing. So it's causing a lot more competition. And with competition, I think now senior living communities really have to find ways to differentiate themselves from their competitors. Ultimately, they are competing with the resident is current home situation, but it really is just about finding your niche. It's not just about, we deliver the best care. We make sure that you're in a place that's happy, but maybe specializing in something or being known in the industry for something that's very unique and that can't really be replicated, so that you stand out. So we're always, not only are we trying to be students of the industry and understanding how it works, but we're always developing new technologies, new partnerships to ensure that we're ultimately delivering the best results and doing it in the best way for all parties involved.
Very cool, man. Yeah, that's awesome. If you had any takeaways for our viewers, what would you want them to take away from this?
I think the biggest thing for me I guess the biggest takeaways that I'd like for the visitors to know is that, what's really important is that there's so many different options in all aspects of your sales process. And I think a lot of the data that's perceived, or a lot of the ways that we look, is this solution versus that solution. So you talk about online leads, for example, right? So if we're comparing, AI with chat, or fill forms with chat, or phone calls with chat, or whatever it might be, any ways that you're comparing the two, I think that there's such a surface level, just high level view of the numbers. They say, okay, this solution is doing X amount of leads, and this solution is doing Y amount of leads. This one's more, they're better, cut the other one out. So what I guess the biggest thing that I would hope for the takeaway for this is that really let the data speak for itself and do a lot of deep diving into it. So obviously understanding your sales process and making sure that that's up to par, but it really isn't just about the surface level numbers. It's diving deeper into, okay, how are these leads ultimately converting? What's setting our team up most for success? And understanding, okay, is there a time factor, a time element that's saved? Because I think it gets so easy to just look at a chart, see one chart is higher than the other, and then just assume that that's the case. And and that's it. But ultimately, the most important thing with senior living or staying in business and being able to make sure that you're successful and growing is by getting more move-ins, getting more residents, and growing that way. And so, just really take a look at all the data. If everything is looking good and you're diving deeper, then that should give you a good idea of what it is that you need. Otherwise, do a thorough analysis and let the numbers speak for themselves. So that would probably be my biggest takeaway.
Very cool. Marc, you and your team have been a fantastic partner for us here at Citizen. I really do appreciate everything that you guys have done for us, and we love working with you guys. So thank you so much. Also, thank you so much for joining Cup of Joe. For our viewers out there, how can they get in touch with you directly?
They can get in contact with me in several different ways. Obviously, phone number and email, I can provide that. We could put it onto a link here that they can just click on a button. If you go on sitestaffchat.com, you can look at more about what it is that we do. You can click on the Let's Chat button, and that'll come directly to me. LinkedIn, a lot of different ways. Even if, like I said, if you want to talk about business, you want to talk about football, I'm always game to have a conversation. So you can reach us also at sales@sitestaffchat.com. That also would be routed to me as well. So multiple calls to action ways to get in hold of me.
Very cool. Marc, thank you again. And for our viewers, if you want to get in touch with Marc, you know how. You can also reach out to us directly at info@citizen55.com or go to citizen55.com through our website. So thank you so much for viewing, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.